Brethren and sisterin, or however you say that, the matchup of the day, the matchup that is going to decide so many things, the matchup that is going to tell us so much about these teams. Who is wearing the Jordans? Who is going to bounce back better? Both teams come off of losses. Their scorelines haven't even been updated, but I'm going to give you guys the inside information, the inside scoop. Fnatic with the 0-4 scoreline against Immortals with the 2-2 scoreline. Fnatic start off the ban phase with a Gragas ban. That is an Xmithie classic. Put him on that Sejuani. This is the time where Xmithie would miss some ultimates, if ever. I'm just kidding. Let's compare these two teams. Immortals, I feel like they're the more well-rounded team. They are better in draft, they're better as a team, and that is what secures you wins. Nowadays, Fnatic have this potential of maybe Caps or Reckless kind of popping off and taking over games. So that is the one thing that is in favor for them. So Fnatic are straight up just banning 3 junglers. I think they're going to look for a first pick Xayah here. Hopefully, I would love to see a first pick Xayah here for Fnatic to make sure that they just walk into it with confidence and poise. I kind of like the strategy here from Fnatic, banning out all the tank junglers, forcing Xmithie to play a meta that he's maybe less comfortable in. I still feel like even with this Rakan ban that Xayah should be first pick. Janna is instead first picked, which is also understandable because Xayah Lulu is not the best combination, right? Xayah Lulu is something that we haven't seen at all this tournament. So if they pick themselves Janna, they're in theory also securing the Xayah for themselves. So I'm hoping that the Xayah pickup comes in here, and maybe what we'll see from Fnatic is an early mid lane pickup that kind of hide their jungle pick for as long as possible. Maybe they also just pick up the Rek'Sai to hide it as well. If anything, maybe they pick the Ryze, but Ryze would, against these two picks specifically, against the Lulu, against the Tristana, would struggle right off the bat. If Fnatic feel like it, maybe they just go for the Twitch again, but to be honest, I'm a bigger fan of the Xayah. Finally, Papa bless, boom. It's a nice Xayah pickup, but so far, you know, we don't know if Fnatic are adapting their draft too much. Ezreal is something that Xmithie has played in this tournament, which I didn't think about too much, you know, and I don't think Fnatic really thought about it either, because I imagine that Ezreal should be a very good pickup into Rek'Sai. Pobelter, like Xmithie did in fact play Ezreal in this tournament. It was against Longzhu. It was a very long drawn out game, and Xmithie did fine on it. Like, he did fine, he picked up some kills, did some pressure down in bottom lane, and I underestimated Xmithie here quite a bit. So Ezreal is the pickup. Let's see now if Immortals are going with the approach where they are first picking top here, because if they ban Trundle from red side, it heavily signals that they want to pick their top laner first. So they're going to aim to pick top laner first, or else they just ban Trundle for the enemy team. And I'm not too big of a fan of banning for the enemy team. Fnatic, you know, Immortals with last picking mid lane, I think is quite unnecessary. I don't think it's that fancy. I don't think it gives you too much. I feel like there's a lot of mid lane champs that can be blind picked and do fine in most matchups, so I'm not too big of a fan of this. Chase ban against Immortals, I like it because it's a champion that Soaz doesn't play no matter what. Maokai is the pickup from Immortals. We're going to have a classic tank matchup up top lane. The main thing here is that if now Fnatic decide to pick the Cho'Gath, it's going to be together with the Rek'Sai. They're going to lack engage, and maybe Cho'Gath is going to struggle once again against Ezreal, Tristana and Lulu. So maybe Fnatic will just pivot from that point, and Immortals are just trying to trap Fnatic in that situation once again where they have the Cho'Gath. To be honest, at this point in time, I would even love to just see a Nautilus straight up. The Cho'Gath has not been paying off for Fnatic, and them picking engage from top lane like Cloud9 have with the Nautilus, I would be quite happy with it, you know. Maybe Fnatic is feeling a bit frisky. They can pick a Gnar into the Maokai, look for that scaling, but I feel like Gnar will also struggle in that team fight scenarios. And Nautilus is the pickup. Loving it. That is fantastic. I love the fact that they are picking some engage. They're lacking it from the jungle. I think Nautilus is a great pickup here, and I think it's great that they do it. Immortals round off their composition with the Orianna. So Immortals have this beautiful mix. They have this death ball that is going to do beautifully in the late game. They're going to scale so heavily into this game. They have hard scaling champions on every lane, and you could argue that they outscale the enemy team on every lane here. Fnatic have a lot of tools here to create some pressure in the early game. I feel like Orianna, Cassiopeia can be a very volatile matchup that can go either way. Bot lane is going to be in favor pushing for Fnatic, which also gives Fnatic some options to create something more in the early game. And then the Nautilus and the Rek'Sai have some gank potential to create up top lane, and then maybe Nautilus can push the Maokai early on, transition that pressure into mid lane, and then create something there. So it's very important now. Fnatic need to gain advantage early on. They need to be the teams forcing the first Nasher of the game, keep tempo in the game, and then Immortals are going to play the stall game, where they are going to be the ones hoping that they can get advantages bottom through pure mechanical skill. Because even though, you know, the beauty of Lulu against Janna is that Lulu can still put herself in scenarios where she can out-trade the Janna, she can commit into those trades heavily, she can run that Thunderlord, and Tristana can supply that very well, where they can commit to those trades. The reason Janna and can push against Lulu in this case is because she has Xayah, right? Xayah and Janna together, they work like Sivir 2.0, they pushed away very fast, and that is an important thing to highlight. So coming into this game, we're going to expect Immortals to try to push it to the later stages, and Fnatic are going to try to accelerate the pace of the game, and hopefully we will see a Fnatic that is going to have a lot of speed here. I was surprised by the fact that they were the ones banning Talia. I think if anything, they should have been the team that picked Talia, because I think I would have loved it over the Cassiopeia here, because Cassiopeia is always a champion that is more risky, a champion that is similar to Ryze, does not that well into Tristana, does not that well into Lulu, and does not that well. Is that a sentence that you say? I'm not even sure anymore. It's 7 AM and we have a crazy matchup ahead of us. It's going to be absolutely bonkers, and I'm so happy that Fnatic didn't pick Cho'Gath, because if they picked Cho'Gath, I would have just taken off my headset and just walked out, you know, legit just walked out. Alright, invades right off the bat. Xmidi is trying to use the fact that he has that Ezreal, but this is something Immortals did the last time they played Ezreal, and Fnatic played around it very interestingly. They were in position. I still had some water in my mouth, so I was like slurring over my words, but Nautilus starting Q is going to be not the greatest thing for his lane matchup. Let's see if Flame is going to lease here for Xmidi. He's the one that used Flash, and that is probably the least important Flash of them all. Rek'Sai would have been very happy if one of the laners didn't have Flash, because Rek'Sai with Flash can easily find an angle that is going to be blind for the enemy and just commit to that. With the information here that Xmidi has spotting Rek'Sai on the Raptors, he's going to go ahead and invade the enemy blue buff. He's going to do that quite fast, but Rek'Sai is currently, he has quite good timing here. He doesn't oh, Roxa is getting caught here. No flash on Ezreal. Flash is used by Roxa. That was really close. You know, he was like 1 pixel away from fail flashing that wall. But Roxa just walked into that. Xmidi did this beautiful thing where he pressed S and just wait for Roxa to walk in, because Roxa, he's playing a champion that's completely blind when she's on the ground. He can just see champions that move. So Xmidi did this neat thing where he just stopped up and confused Broxah there for a moment. So Broxah is in a very awkward spot here. He can't invade the enemy jungle because he's too low. Bot lane seems to be in an even position as well, and Xmidi took his entire top side. Xmidi gets to take the camps he loves to take as Ezreal, loves to take Gromp, loves to take buffs. Let's see if Broxah has the balls now to actually commit into trying to take the enemy jungle. I think it would be crazy. It looks like Lulu is going to go there to check, maybe to even place a ward, and as long as Immortals just respond accordingly here, then Rek'Sai shouldn't be able to invade anything. Ezreal's in position already, and Broxah, he has only his wolf camps to kill, and Xmidi has his entire jungle, and Xmidi is so happy right now. You know, the CS numbers are lying to us, you know. Broxah killed the golems, he killed the the Raptors, so of course the CS number is going to be heavily inflated because he killed a lot of pebble monsters, you know, while Immortals like Xmidi was killing all the big monsters, right? So don't look at the CS differential, you know, don't ping the CS. Let's see now. The main thing here with Rek'Sai is that he kind of has the similar play pattern if you compare it to Ezreal, where he wants to create things early on. I think in this case, it doesn't matter that Xmidi outscales Rek'Sai. It's that Xmidi, if he's ahead in the early game, it limits the options Fnatic have to actually create an advantage in the early game. Because if Ezreal is ahead, he can always match the Reckless, not the Reckless, the Rek'Sai, and that is going to be a problem in general for Fnatic, because if they're weaker, 2v2 everywhere is going to be a problem. Nautilus in the early lane phases wins most tank matchups because he has very high base numbers. The main thing about Nautilus is that he doesn't scale as heavy in terms of tank numbers. Maokai has his passive, and it's really broken in terms of survivability, and Nautilus doesn't have like the same thing. We've had some Nautilus buffs, and I think Nautilus definitely belongs in the meta. This is the second player we've seen at this tournament that has picked it up and played it. This game definitely called for it, and Nautilus can be very clutch sometimes. You know, the hook can be game changing, and you know, looking at bottom now, you know, speaking of game changing, we see that Xayah was in base. She's also under leveled here, and it's going to be a problem because it seems like IMT's bot lane now, whoa, Caps, uses heal, might have to use flash as well, getting move speed, proccing Storm Raider now off of Pobelter. Pobelter's getting stunned, beautifully played from freaking Caps. Holy moly, Caps. This is what we need, Caps, to win the game. This is what we need, brother. Very well played. You could see how he knew the amount of damage he had to do to proc the Storm Raiders, didn't flash instantly like a lot of other players would do, played very patiently, hit the skill shots that needed to land, hit the Q on Pobelter, created some distance with that movement speed from Q, and then just kept hitting, and Broxah was around, and you could argue that this is quite a comeback now for Broxah with the kill, and also the Raptors being stolen away from Xmidi. You can see also the gold differential is not that big. You know, this is huge for Broxah. He's ahead now, and this all of a sudden nullifies what Xmidi did, and that makes him a bit pissed, right? Caps is now already back. He has the tier, and things are going very fast. I'm speaking about things, and I can see like people teleporting across the map because time is flying while I'm talking. So we can see the situation once again. Caps is coming in for the gank. I mean, Xmidi is coming in for the gank. Pobelter is coming in. Caps procs Storm Raiders. Does he even proc Storm Raiders? There is Storm Raiders, so it got procced a bit later, but he got the movement speed from the Q that he threw on Pobelter, and then the W from, of course, the Cassiopeia made sure that Pobelter couldn't flash. Rek'Sai followed up beautifully, and all of a sudden the situation there was a great situation for Fnatic. This is exactly what they need. They have a 1k gold advantage now. Big issue now for bot lane is that Xayah is at double longsword and attack speed item. She has the relic shield, and she's facing a Tristana that has a beer sword and a cull. By the looks of it, Fnatic are losing bottom heavily. I'm gonna try to, you know, I don't know how much a weaker relic shield makes you. I don't know how much faster you get the freaking Ardent Sensor when you have relic shield. It's kind of strange for me to try that in solo queue. I was considering to trying it in solo queue, but you know, it just seemed silly because it's not the same thing anymore, and it's not the same to do in solo queue. But right now we can see Immortals, they forced Fnatic to base early on, which forced Xayah to buy the double longswords, unless Fnatic just completely screwed up and based for no reason and lost a lot of minions, because Immortals bot lane now is ahead, and that was a big differential now. The last time Immortals played this lane matchup against these specific players, they got severely outlaned, they got ganked, and Reckless was super far ahead. In this round, Immortals are playing a lot better in bottom, and you could speak to it as maybe underperformance in the last one, and right now it doesn't feel like any team is affected by the previous loss that they came into the match with, and you can feel like the teams are in the zone right now. Maybe Reckless is playing a bit worse, but I just feel like this matchup definitely is a skill matchup. You know, there are some matchups that want to push, and there's some matchups that want to trade, and I feel like this matchup right here is definitely a clash. Xmeri is trying to do a sneaky Drake here together with the pressure that they have from bottom. Let's see now if Broxah can be here on time. The banana into the smite is going to line that up beautifully. So 2 pink wards around bottom side and pressure from bottom side gave Xmeri the opportunity to just start the dragon. Ezreal has a lot of single target damage, so he can solo that without no big issues. Broxah is very strong right now. He has the 80 jungle item and he's looking for that fight. It is a good situation for him to look for a fight because he is so much stronger now. There is a red buff though on Xmeri, and if he doesn't get caught, even without even with an item disadvantage, is still going to do very well in these trades. Infernal Drake is going to mean so much as well, but to be honest, you know, Immortals were already outscaling the enemy team, so the Infernal Drake is not going to be that big of a difference. I think the main thing is that Fnatic didn't get it. You know, Fnatic would need the Infernal Drake to snowball this game onward, and the value of Infernal Drake, regardless if you outskill the enemy, it means that you just outskill the enemy even more. And maybe together with that Infernal Drake, Fnatic could maybe match it at a closer level. And Infernal Drake, regardless, you know, is super high value, and this type of play is something that is very rewarding, and it's very good that Xmeri did it. And I don't think this is the first time we've seen the NA junglers pull this off with Ezreal, so it's very well played. Interesting now how Broxah put himself in the position where he's between 2 wards, waiting for Cassiopeia to step in here and clear the ward. I like this type of play because Rek'Sai is trying to maintain the idea that he's hidden from the enemy team. He is currently not spotted. We saw him working around wards this entire time. He's trying to make sure that it doesn't get spotted. Big issue now that, you know, I was talking about how Xayah and Janna should be pushing. It seems like Immortals have such a good grasp over bot lane. It is a snowball from before. It is definitely a snowball from before because Tristana has the BF sword, she had the better base, and she just dominates the lane with better items. And it seems like, you know, I wish we could watch and analyze what exactly happened in the bot lane, but I am not the spectator, I'm not the cameraman, and this time around Immortals are having a much better time in the bot lane, and all of a sudden this advantage that Fnatic had just completely disappeared. So the question is, where could a Fnatic done better? And when your bot lane gets pushed in like this, and it just becomes all about that mid lane. Could they have pressured mid lane? Could they have potentially pressured Belton more? Could they have pressured through mid lane into bottom and then taken control of the river and then maybe prevented this dragon? That is the main question, right? It's like Broxah probably could have found more opportunities to play through mid and actually clear those pink wards through mid lane and make sure that they have river control, and then maybe they could have 3v3'd in bottom and created a situation for themselves where they could actually equalize this pressure. The other play would be to play into top side, but tank versus tank, you know, it's like it's not that crazy, you know. It's like, imagine you go to the cinema and you know, making a play on bottom is like watching, I don't know, some crazy movie. Like, imagine you are, I don't know, the year is 19 whatever and Shawshank Redemption just came out, and you can see that Morgan Freeman is in it, and he's like hot fire, you know, and you just want to see it. And then the second option is like Discovery Channel, and Ganking Top is like Discovery Channel type of stuff, you know, not the good kind, like a Hunt or something, the bad kind. So this is a trade-off now. Fnatic pushed in all the way bottom, a big tempo swing for them, because the main thing, holy moly, I'm talking about Discovery Channel and things are going down. I want to take a step back because I completely missed that. Please understand that I am operating on very little sleep. So I can only, like, I can concentrate on one thing and I space out and I just walk away with one thought. So the main thing here is that if we look at the tempo, right here. I'm trying to find my pencil. Where's my pencil? There's my pencil. Oh, what is that? That is my pencil. So the main thing here is that we see Soaz killing the wave. So one wave behind. Right now, Immortals bot lane is in this position, and Fnatic's bot lane are pushing with one wave. So right now, Fnatic bot lane is one wave ahead. One wave ahead, and they're going to push the turret much faster. This is a big deal, right? A very, very big deal. And the main issue here for Immortals is, or not the main issue, right? They got the bot tower, they based, and during this time, Fnatic also based, right? So it's kind of a trade-off in that sense. But I feel like the play for Immortals here was to push out bottom again and then to swap into topside. Because right now they're giving a lot back to Fnatic. Fnatic, with the tempo advantage that they had here, Immortals could have just kept flame topside. They should have walked into bottom, pushed out bottom completely once again. They have static Shiv, right? So they're a lot stronger. They have static Shiv, and they could just play with Ezreal once again through bottom side to push it in all the way, base, and then swap. But in this type of scenario, they didn't push a second wave. They based at kind of an awkward timing and then walked up to top side. They were evidently very clearly behind on tempo. Maokai cannot stop Nautilus from pushing the wave, so this is also a big issue. And Fnatic, together with this one wave advantage here, are going to do so much. The banana comes in, doesn't hit the cannon minion, big deal, right? Maybe they could have saved the turret here, but the TP comes in. Maybe if he bananaed the right way, maybe this would have been a worse situation for Fnatic. But Immortals is also doing Rift Herald, right? So this is also like not the worst trade in the world, right? I am complaining about Immortals play here a lot, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's terrible, right? They could have gotten all of this while also doing the play into bottom. Let's see now if Flame is going to die off of this. Flame is really, really tanky. He flashes out. Now, there's a lot of players now from Immortals coming and collapsing. Tristana's hitting top tower. Caps and Brox are committing all alone. Fnatic's team is nowhere to be found because they're pushing bot tower. So even if they outnumber the enemy team, it doesn't really matter here because Fnatic, they are not fighting together. So they got the second tower, but Caps died very unnecessarily, and it's going to be a big issue here for him that he doesn't have summoners, because Orianna has a very easy time of landing her ultimate on Cassiopeia. So the main thing here is that if they want to catch the Cassio, it can be very easy for them, and the fact that she lost both summoners here means so much as well. And Immortals have a massive tempo swing, because even though Fnatic pushed bottom and pushed all the way, Immortals was already running after them on the map, and they're transitioning this pressure onto the mid lane. I hope that is very clear here, that Immortals, you know, they had a tempo disadvantage. They made the defensive play by basing and walking towards bot side. Fnatic committed to two things where they were fighting and at the same time pushing bot tower, which is a massive mistake. They're trying to do two things at once. Immortals respond by picking up the kill on Caps. Caps uses his summoners, and then Immortals, because they came out of base, while Fnatic needs to base, they have this huge tempo advantage, about 30 seconds, where Fnatic needs to base and walk back out to lane. Immortals transition this pressure into the mid lane and punish this beautifully. So the main thing is, you know, we criticized Immortals for having a tempo disadvantage, and you could argue that together with the Rift Herald and with this play, like sure, Fnatic right now could just be hitting bot tower and then basing, and maybe, just maybe, Fnatic wouldn't have lost mid tower. Yeah, for sure they wouldn't have lost mid tower. So still, the points about Immortals still stand, how they could have played this better. Fnatic could have just pushed bottom tower, they could have based and then walk into mid lane to make the defensive play, and then once again send their bot lane into top side and send Soaz into bottom and then be in a good state. So we get thrown in here from a replay, so I'm not too sure what kind of lined us up for this play. Lulu and Tristana seem to be on the wrong side of the map. So the main thing is, what I was talking about was Fnatic could have based in time, then walk into mid lane together to prevent that play from Immortal where they rotate into mid lane and use the Rift Herald, and then after doing that send Nautilus into bottom, or maybe even keep him there, maybe even keep him together with the team, because enemy team would have TP advantage and Maokai maybe couldn't be bottom, and then they would play around top side and continue their tempo swing here. But the play they did made them lose tempo, made them lose a kill, and Immortals gained so much here. Gain super much. After Fnatic pick up this dragon though, they put themselves in a position that wasn't really ready to transition into mid. They had to, like if you look at the minimap, I can explain a bit better. Right now, like if you're doing Drake and the enemy team is pink, and they're standing here. Let's just say they're standing here. They can't. It's hard for them to step into here and contest Drake, but they have the better angle to go into here, right? While the yellow team have to go around. They have to go around, you know, maybe do this, and you just don't have time here to work with, especially if the mid wave is in a good position for the push. So it's not worth it for the Ocean Drake. Fnatic were thrown into a situation. They were stuck at the Dragon Pit at this perimeter that I'm painting with yellow, and the enemy team were just standing here in this perimeter that I'm also painting in yellow, but this one is shaped like a banana, so there's a clear difference. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Fnatic now are making the previous play where they're sending their bot lane into top side. Soaz is coming closer and closer to his TP. Immortals do have a window here where they have TP advantage, but as we see behind Fnatic, there's no deep TP wards. It's been quite some time where Immortals haven't done anything on top side. The main thing here is that Rek'Sai has very little items. He gets like destroyed in these scenarios, and Caps has no flash. Immortals did use the TP, but Flame couldn't really find a great TP ward. This was really not like the greatest TP that you can think of, and maybe Fnatic can create something out of this scenario where they have a TP advantage. Pobelter gets caught here. He has flash. Maybe he can get one-shotted. The W from Caps doesn't land. Maybe if Caps was a bit more patient and dropped his W a bit later, maybe the flash wouldn't come out, and maybe with 2 E's from Cassio he would have been dead. Heal was still available for Pobelter, so maybe not. Nice ultimate here from the mid Pobelter, but it didn't hit all creeps. I don't even think if he killed the creeps that it would have saved the turret. 1-for-1 trade is something that Fnatic can be happy about because they don't have the longest range composition. They're playing against a mage, and trading 1-for-1 is definitely positive for them because who cares about them side lane turrets? They're not going to make a bigger difference when it comes to actually pressuring, because this game is not going to be about split pushing. When it comes to either rosters, they have Nautilus and Maokai. It doesn't really matter that the towers have fallen, and the mid tower, getting that for Fnatic is definitely like a big deal because it actually lines them up for the dragon. The next Drake that is spawning is Infernal. It's going to be Baron. But either way, you know, still, even though Immortals are in the position where they outscale, there's still like this leg room now for Fnatic to put themselves in good fights. Nautilus is very powerful this time. He can create some situations with a good hook. Pobelter has no flash, which is going to mean a lot for the upcoming Infernal Drake, the upcoming Baron. And the main thing here for Fnatic is that they have a good Baron team. The main issue for them is that Rek'Sai is kind of weak right now. He's kind of weak. He needs to pick up a few more items before he can actually be viable again. You could see how Tristana just critted him once or twice, and all of a sudden he was like, his HP was just gone. So that is a big issue for Rek'Sai. Ninja Tabi is just not enough. We need to buff it. I'm just kidding. Main thing that we need to look out for here is that Immortals have a very powerful team to get mid priority, and Fnatic don't have like the best side lane roster either. So this is going to be a big advantage for Immortals. They can clear the creeps faster in mid, and as a death ball they're very, very strong. And at the same time, when Tristana is so fed, like she's fed because she picked up a lot of like first tower gold, and she picked up, like, she has a lot of tower gold in general, like 5 turrets for Immortals, and the Infernal Drake. Like, the state of Tristana is very, very juicy right now. And Tristana can pretty much, like, I can imagine that she can 1v1 anyone on the side lane. Maybe Cassiopeia could win, but that would mean that Cassiopeia needs to land her spells, and it's easy for Tristana to just get away from Cassiopeia. So I feel like Immortals have the advantage when it comes to lane setup. So Fnatic would have to put themselves in a case where they group up and try to force 5v5 situations, because with the simple fact that Pobelter doesn't have flash, I think it can mean so much. And Nautilus using his flash to kill Pobelter could open up for a Nash situation. So it's important now for Immortals to recognize this, that the weakness for their team right now is the fact that Pobelter doesn't have flash. If they cover this part of it, I don't think they can get engaged on that easily. And Orianna should be the one staying the furthest back, because there are the people that can clear the wave that have jumps pretty much. Can you imagine Orianna having a jump? Imagine she had a spell that was a jump. Like, you just give her Ezreal E instead of her own E. Now that would be insanity, man. That would be crazy. That would be a lot of fun. It would be so imbalanced. Cassiopeia is also reaching pretty big items. The big thing here about Cassiopeia is that she's really good at killing tanks, but luckily Immortals only have one, so he's not that unhappy. He can also get Adaptive Helm eventually. And, you know, Immortals necessarily don't need to engage. They don't need to engage, so Maokai doesn't need to really like sacrifice himself by killing himself. He can just throw his roots out, and that is going to be good enough for Immortals to get in there and start fights. Immortals have such a big range advantage here that is going to matter so much when it comes to these battles. Immortals, with their mid priority that they've created here, is in a better position to get this Infernal Drake. Fnatic, if anything, maybe they should just walk towards Nash and force Immortals to move towards them, and maybe create a kind of equilibrium. Whoa, this banana did a lot of damage. Caps didn't get a huge ultimate. Pobelter though is quite low, doesn't hit anything with Orianna ultimate. So Caps just picks the kill up for free, and Immortals is forced to engage, disengage towards the jungle of the Fnatic. Is Xmedi going to try for a steal? No. Beautifully played. I want to take a step back and take a look once again at this team fight. So right now we see Nautilus walking bottom, which gives Immortals the space to walk into mid lane as 5. Maokai is missing, so Caps and his Fnatic need to be afraid in this case. They need to back off a bit because Maokai is in a better position. He's in a position to kind of ult him as well. You can see Immortals playing very far up as well. Cody Sun also hits his auto attack that procs Static Shiv on the entire Fnatic roster. And this gives Immortal the better position here for the Infernal Drake. Fnatic are forced to take some risks here with their face checking. We can see the hook here. This is where it starts. Hook starts landing on Flame. Not a lot of damage here, but insane banana here. Insane banana to start the fight. Broxa gets chunked, Reckless gets chunked, and also a Q from Ezreal landed on Reckless here. Caps is finding a very good angle. So the main thing here is there is no vision. So this is a complete blind spot. Maybe they could have thought about Caps walking into here because it could be like a potential spot. They don't see Caps in this area. Big problem here as well for Immortals is that this is pink warded. So this is a blind spot, and this is also a blind spot. So Immortals is working with very little vision in this team fight. If we roll the clip, Steven. Thank you, Steven. Caps flashes over the wall, finds a very good angle, while the roster of Immortals are committing on Soaz. So Caps is hitting a key target here. Ole is also cut off from the team, right? He cannot join this. And then right now looking at it, if we continue the clip now, let's take a look. Soaz manages to survive with very little HP. Pobelter kind of throws out the panic ultimate because he has Q on cooldown most likely, and is just trying to use it before he dies. He doesn't have flash here, and Pobelter obviously falls. And the product of the fight here is that even though Nautilus is low on HP, Fnatic is a team that is grouped. Ole is out of position, they try to group around, and then right now it's hard for Immortals to get back into the pit. So in this case, it was a big problem that Immortals, instead of just starting the Drake and forcing the enemy team to come in a bit more, they tried to engage. The fight is not over yet. Ole, oh! He just Pringles him. He opened a can of Pringles, and that was like the first bite. He just bit him, It was crunchy. Lulu just got one-shotted and boom! Ezreal gets picked up as well. The Nashor is now a target because Fnatic have a beautiful team. I'm saying the word beautiful too much, man. Sorry, my sleep schedule is bonkers. It's crazy. It's not healthy. And holy moly, Fnatic pick up clutch kills here, and Immortals is just in the wrong jungle. They should have just walked away. They should have based. They shouldn't have tried to contest. Let's take a look at this situation now. Will Immortals be able to do anything? There's no smite. Pobelto tries to ult, only hits Soaz. Flame has flash, will probably get out, but gets hooked. Fnatic now, should they commit to this fight? I don't know too much about it. There's no ultimate here on Orianna, but it's hard to chase into the enemy team when they don't have the Nautilus ultimate. So I think it's a wise decision here to back off. You could argue that maybe they could have committed to a fight because of the wave bottom. Ezreal wouldn't able to join, but it would be a very easy disengage here from Immortals. And sometimes you have to trust that the enemy team will make a correct decision. That is how you have to base your own decisions. You make decisions in League. Pro teams make decisions in League assuming that the enemy team will play perfect. If you make decisions in League assuming the enemy will play bad, that is a bad decision inherently. Sure, there are some players that have specific tendencies and play a specific way, and you can abuse that to your advantage. But let's say in theory you play against a team that you've never played against before. The best approach you can have is to assume with your play that the enemy team will play perfect. So right now it's a big problem here that the Immortals are already starting the fight because they're fighting in an area where they don't have vision. I'm going to make that point once again because right now, blind. Ironically, we can paint glasses here and we can very obviously highlight here how blind Immortals is when they fight in this space. So it's very important that Immortals, they wait for Fnatic to step into this space and then they just continue to do Infernal Drake and then force them to engage into this area. And all of a sudden they don't have these dead spots, they don't have these dead angles, because right now they're committing on a target that just is in too defensive of position here. Good banana, right? And they're trying to commit now on Soaz, but a beautiful Nautilus ultimate knocks them all up, which is quite clutch. I didn't notice that before. And this is what is putting Fnatic in a wonderful position, great position. And I feel like Immortals are doing very strange mistakes. Like, what is Immortals actually doing here? Right now, what is Immortals thinking? They are outnumbered. The enemy team has more people. You are in the enemy jungle, right? Like this is the blue side jungle. Immortals is red. They were in a strange position to begin with. We were making cinema references before. This was also like, you know, they were watching, they were at the cinema and they were eating their popcorn. This was like How to Train Your Dragon, part 3. Fnatic were doing Drake and Immortals were just watching them. And during this time, Immortals should have found a way to get out of this area. They should have found a way to get out of this area. Either recall, either just walk out, something, just something to get out of the space. But during this time, what were they actually doing? So right now, Immortals are just fapping around, walking around, while Fnatic did Drake. They had the time to walk out, and right now it's just Broxah ease over the wall, finds Ole because he walked back and forth and then stopped because Broxah had his kind of under burrow kind of thing going on. I think Broxah has been performing well in this game. I think this is one of the better Broxah games at the tournament, and I'm happy that he steps up because he's received a lot of flack, and a lot of that flack was well deserved because he hasn't had the greatest performance. Fnatic now are just continuing their snowball. They're the ones with the Infernal Drake. They're in a good state now, in a good place in the game. I didn't mention this before, but Immortals bot lane are running Bloodlust and Reckless is running Fervor, and that could be a big reason why Reckless was so behind the lane, because Bloodlust is a big deal, right? Especially when you have Janna, you don't have a healing component, and Bloodlust is very powerful in lane. Fervor scales well into the game, but because you don't necessarily need that lifesteal because of Ardent Sensor in 7.18, and you have the Janna heal as well. And with that in mind, you know, Reckless did in fact use Fervent lane, and that could be a big reason why Immortals were ahead in the lane phase. I didn't notice that before, so pardon me. Pardon me. Pardon me for my burp and for missing this fact. While Fnatic is ahead, Tristana is reaching really big items, and everyone Immortals is going to turn into protected Tristana duty soon. Let's see now if Reckless can buy his Infinity Edge, if it's in base. It is in base, so he is equal when it comes to items. Reckless with a smile. I think if he thinks back to that game, his smile would turn into sad face. But hopefully, he's not thinking about that right now. You know, that's a rat with a crossbow. Hopefully he's not thinking about that right now. He's in a game with Xayah. He's in a good state to take this over. Crazy, crazy. Immortals. Is Immortals going to go 0-3? Is the dream or the nightmare for a lot of people? Nightmare for me too, because I have a lot of expectations when it comes to North America this year. Is it going to come true where North America just goes 0-10 in week 2? Might be a possibility, might be real. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Immortals still in this game, you know, I'm talking as if it's over for them. They still have this death ball that is scaling very well. Tristana is very, very powerful in the game, and she's in a healthy state, and Immortals just need to apply their shields to her. She has a good level here, and she can melt through anything that Fnatic throw at her right now, and it's very, very hard for Fnatic to catch her. So it's important that when the engages happen, that Fnatic play around space, play around objectives, lure the enemy in, where Cassiopeia is definitely shining. Caps standing on the pink wards because he knows that he needs to create dead spots for Immortals, where Caps is in a situation where the enemy team is face checking him. Caps is playing very aggressively. He's looking for that play, because in order for Cassiopeia to be very effective in this game, whoa, he needs to do shit like this. But he didn't Q. Was his Q on cooldown or something? Because I felt like he could have put in more DPS there if he just Q'd instantly, or maybe W'd instantly off of that ult. Flashes up on Pobelter. Soa's ultimate was quite wasted here. Caps is out of position. Heal is used. Cody's Sun, will he get the reset? The reset can be clutch here, because Cody's Sun is going to take away this fight. Wild Growth is unavailable. It was used already. Used on Xmithie in the previous engage. Caps uses ultimate, and Nautilus' ultimate was not used for a lot of good. And then all of a sudden, Fnatic lose their position around Dragon. They had the Drake and tried to retake control of a mid, tried to force an engage too hard, because as long as Immortals survive the Nautilus ultimate, it's very easy for them to disengage, and then it's easy for them to also follow through on the battle, because they have a lot of speed up, they have a lot of resets as well, and that is the powerful kind of death ball composition that we're talking about. We can see that the poison came in very late here for Caps, and that could have been the difference between Xmithie dying or not. But right now the engage here from Fnatic is very telegraphed. So it's a Righteous Glory. Righteous Glory makes him run faster than his teammates. And if we take a step back, we can take a step back and use our pencil. We can use our pencil right now. Soaz is popping Righteous Glory, so he's creating some distance between him and his team. The Maokai is also slowing them down. And Soaz's ultimate, even though it hits key targets here, it hit Xmithie and hit Pobelter, there can be no follow-up, because the tank line, if we can take a step back once again and pause at the right moment, Steven. Alright. Let's take a look right now. So the ult from Soaz is landing on the key targets. I'm saying landing on the key targets as if it's not an on-click ultimate, but he clicked the right target. But who is going to follow up on this? So these people right here, another pencil play. These people right here are slowed by Maokai. Cassiopeia has no way to get in here. He can flash and QE, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough at all. That's like terrible. And after Nautilus ultimate is burnt, and Cassiopeia has used her opportunity to kind of catch someone, then all of a sudden the team that engages is going to be in a horrible position. The main thing here, as we proceed, to give you what you need. Maokai is going to step into here. Fnatic are in a worse position to DPS the tank and reach the backline, which are the key targets here. And they're just going to win the DPS race here because Xmiri is just so powerful. And Caps is going to try to desperately follow up on this play. And you can see him walking in a little bit too far. Pobelter lands the ultimate. Good kind of re-engage here from Immortals. And they have the speed up. They have the speed up. They have the resets. It's very easy for them to just chase Fnatic down. And they pick up the kill. Luckily for Fnatic, there's no Nashor to pick up. Fnatic have this bonus that they have 2 Infernal Drakes. So they don't scale too bad. Cassiopeia is one of the more prominent users of Infernal Drakes because she reaches those high AP numbers because of the lack of shoes. What a woman. She doesn't like shoes. I'm just kidding. We continue. Immortals can keep pressuring around mid lane because this is what they need to look for. The main thing that Fnatic has going for them is that they can create these dead spots where Caps can create situations for himself where he can create beautiful ultimates. Once again, Soa's ultimate is used for nothing. Good Maokai route here. Zones entire Fnatic's bottom and Cassiopeia. Oof. Let's take a look at that again because that Maokai wave was like poof. That was like insanity how good it was. Let's take a look again. I was talking about how Fnatic need to create scenario for themselves where the enemy team face checks into them and they create picks with Cassiopeia. So they need to control the space around Nashor and then create situations. So the main thing here for Immortals is that they don't have to take any risk because they have the crab and they can spot the enemy team if they try to get in there, right? So the main thing here is what we can take a look at is Flame is doing a great job by face checking because he cannot get one shot. He's Maokai, he's a tree, you know, he's robust, man. Trees live for 100 years and even longer. Maokai is not one of the trees. You talking to me? You talking to me? Oh shit! The guy with the dog looked at me. He looked at me. I was just making a joke. Okay. Alright, so Flame is the one face checking this bush, sapping into it, and then Soaz is trying to come for the flank, and it's just not working out because Immortals is in too good of a position, and then the Maokai wave. Look at that Maokai wave. 3 people just get zoned off right off the bat. Reckless is in position to support this, but you know, they're not going to win 2v5. They're not going to win 2v5. No freaking way. We continue. Fnatic with the death here on Soaz could mean that Immortals will get the Nash. Reckless has feathers out, so Tristana has a hard time jumping after this. Immortals now in position to just commit, but are they just trading this inhib for the Baron? Crazy stuff. Insane play from Fnatic here. Maokai is just going to try to base here to make sure that he can TP back in, but Immortals are just making the correct response here. Beautiful stuff here. They are just committing to the situation, keeping one man to push, and they know they can stop the Nashor because the enemy team is 4. They're stopping it with 4v4 situations, and they played it very, very well here. Fnatic has a death timer here on Soaz, but Immortals have a big advantage because they have a positional advantage at this Baron. Fnatic also have a very few amount of summoners. Cassiopeia, we talked about how she needs to be in a position where the enemy team face checks into her, but no flash steal here, and Cassiopeia is trying to DPS away on the Maokai, but it's just not working out. Ultimate has to be bigger in order for Caps to carry this fight, and that is what makes Cassiopeia such a big risk, right? She has low range, and she heavily relies on the enemy team to make mistakes for her to be effective in these fights. And Immortals with his Baron and their late game composition should be able to take this away, unless we have some insane feather plays, insane feather plays, and some insane Cassiopeia ults, because that is going to be the redeeming point here for Immortals. But they have a disengaged composition. They have a composition that is such a strong composition as a death ball. They're just going to continue to siege it up, hit towers with the rapid fire cannon, and I just can't imagine what Fnatic will be able to do. This is also a scenario where Janna is not as effective as she wants to be. Janna wants to disengage and use her ultimate for those type of scenarios, but when the enemy team is outranging you, Janna is also automatically a weaker champion. That is very important to highlight. It feels like these compositions with these very long range mages like the Orianna, I think Orianna deserves to be played so much more than she is. I'm really happy whenever I see those games with Orianna, because, you know, I don't think in group stage, I don't think we saw a single game where Orianna lost, and I think that is because Orianna just fits perfectly. I think she can trade with a lot of the AD carries that have long range. I don't think there's a lot of mid laners that can do that, and on top of that she has shield and a speed up, and she can support this AD carry role that is such a beast when it comes to DPS numbers, and Orianna can definitely support that at a very, very nice kind of level. And this is, holy moly, this is crazy. This is crazy, crazy stuff. This game, Fnatic, now they are in a situation where they will lose the tiebreaker against Immortals, which is going to be a very big deal. I think Fnatic, even in the scenario where they beat both Gigabyte Marines, no, the seal is just done. It's just done for Fnatic if they lose this game. I'm trying to solve the puzzle somehow, but it's impossible. They're gonna be at a 0-5 scoreline. They already lost against Longzhu. I was thinking, like, in the case where Fnatic beat Longzhu and beat Gigabyte Marines, we might have some 2-4 ties, but Fnatic they just came off the game where they got smashed by Longzhu. So obviously this is the do or die moment for Fnatic. Do or die. And right now Immortals are the one that have the composition that is going to give the enemy team more die. That doesn't make sense. Once again, pardon me, you know, I have been up for 24 hours, and usually I sleep before these, but I was awake a bit longer today, and the broadcast started, and I was like, okay, let's do it, you know. Fnatic now stuck between a rock and a hard place, but this is like the area where Cassiopeia can definitely like deliver some good shit, and the feathers can maybe do something juicy. Immortals are getting ran around the map a bit, and Fnatic are making good macro decisions to keep Immortals in check, because let's be honest, Immortals were spending a lot of their Baron time running after Fnatic, and that is very positive. So maybe, you know, Fnatic can channel their inner Soaz and maybe just do some backdoor gameplay and just push waves and do like classic Fnatic things, classic Origin things, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough to take away this game. Whenever Immortals have enough time to put themselves in a scenario where the enemy team has to respond to their 5-man push, they are very happy. As long as Fnatic can't create shenanigans, they are visible, then Immortals is happy, because as long as Fnatic is visible and they're not pushing on any other lane or creating priority, then their options to win the game are very slim. So right now Fnatic are visible, Caps, and, you know, Immortals is just happy. They're gonna siege away at this turret, use rapid fire hits to hit the turret, or kill wards, that's fine too, Cody-san. Cody-san sounds like such an anime name. Alright, you can see that the Nautilus is not as beefy as the Maokai. Whoa, massive Cassiopeia ult. Big, whoa, holy moly. The Cassiopeia ult was insane. Pobelter. Holy moly, Xmidi is doing so much damage with those Qs. Pobelter, no flash Pobelter. But Cody-san is so fed. Holy Cody-san, what was that, bro? What was that, bro? What the hell? What was that? What? 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 Nah, what the hell? What? 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 Nah. Is Fnatic gonna end? They have like 10 seconds on Tristana. Orianna's gonna come up right now. They need to just try to end. Hit the Nexus. Hit the Nexus. Holy! They're so low. They're so low. They can't end. They can't end. What the hell? They can maybe end. Oh my god. Holy shit. What the hell? What the fuck? Nah. Holy moly. This is so classic Fnatic, man. This is so classic Fnatic. Holy moly. Wow. Holy shit. Whew. Holy moly. Holy moly. Holy moly. Everything just fell into place in this last team fight. The Cassiopeia ulted. Hit 3 people. Clutch people. Immortals were just sleeping. Cassiopeia put them into an even deeper sleep. Boom. And then Cody's son with the jump in. What the fuck was that? What the hell was that, man? What in the crying out loud was this jumping? So we were talking about what Fnatic needed to win a game, to come back in the game, and that would be like some juicy ass Cassiopeia ultimate. Boom, it landed straight off the bat. It just got in there, boom, and it just happened. So Flame walked up a bit too far. He walked up a bit too far. Gets hooked in, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't remember anything at all. I just remember the Nexus exploding. Flame walked up a bit too far, and then Immortals were hitting the turret while Flame was taking a lot of damage. Let's take a look at this once again. Flame was walking up here, and then I think he eventually W's in on Soaz. They tried to dive the Soaz here. He gets used. There's a lot of support abilities that are being used here, a lot of support items to keep Soaz alive, which is a very good thing. And then right here, like, Caps is focusing the Maokai. And last time I checked, buddies, Cassiopeia ult is like this. It's like a lamp, you know, it's like a flashlight. Boom. If anyone has played Slenderman, they know. And then all of a sudden, Cassiopeia ult lands. Boom, on Xmidi, it hits Cody's son as well. It matters so much because while this happens, you know, QSS is being used, Xmidi is stuck in a horrible position as well, and Ole here is walking forward. Let's see what one-shots him. He just gets popped. He just gets freaking popped. Like, what happened to him? He's getting taken damage from Xayah feathers here, and then another auto from Xayah, and then all of a sudden you get one-shotted. Crazy, crazy stuff. And then here, Pobelta's difficulty here is that, you know, even though Immortals have good picks here to maybe battle this out, it's, you know, it's very hard for them when 4 members of Fnatic are running towards them. Pobelta uses his flash, and I'm pretty sure that Xmidi and Cody's son could potentially get away here if they wanted to, if they just were running the entire time. But then Cody's son went for the play. Holy moly! Holy moly! Like, sure, you lost the fight, but you didn't lose the war. But then they just committed and just put all chips. You know, imagine, you know, you're playing poker, you're bored at the poker table, you have a 2-7 offsuit. All of a sudden, you know, you get 3-betted, you know, you're assuming the enemy guy is running ace-king. You know, you get a bad river, and then you just continue to play the bluff. You just continue to play the bluff. Enemy team is calling you all the time, and all of a sudden you're there, and you're just going all in. You know, you're going all in when the enemy team has all their chips on the table, and of course they're gonna call. Of course they're gonna call. And you didn't need to lose your entire pot size there. You didn't need to lose your pot size. And then, like, the game just ends. Holy moly, crazy stuff. I am so happy right now. I am so happy right now, and I want to end the video at 1 minute exactly. Boom, 1 minute.